Aquarius workshop, understanding the duality between sadism and masochism. I start with a quote of Pathwork Lecture 103, with the title, Harm of Too Much Love Giving. And the quote is as follows. Both sadism and masochism, which are only two sides of the same coin, as you know, are conditions and brought forth not by one, but by many facets in the human soul. End of quote from Pathwork Lecture 103. It is God's will that we love ourselves, others and life, that we respect, honor and treat ourselves courteously. The emotionally mature person has the ability to enjoy and love in a social and non-egoistic way. He therefore experiences a minimum of pain and a maximum of pleasure. As humanity, we are destined to enjoy to the fullest. Life is pleasure and love. If the life force is suppressed under the influence of images and misconceptions and changes into anti-life force, then contraction occurs and pleasure is negative. Negative pleasure we experience on a conscious level as painful. For example, in self-pity, egoism, greed, pride, self-will, revenge, vanity, masochism, sadism, etc. At this stage of our human evolution, our ability to enjoy is still childishly antisocial and egoistic. Pleasure often expresses itself negatively, so that the person involved unconsciously feels guilty and sinful, and there is fear of love. The mass image that love is dangerous causes us to provoke rejection on an unconscious level and not to understand on a conscious level why we are rejected. We are afraid of pain and rejection. As a result of these fears, we lack the inner willingness to open our hearts to others. We compensate and mask this closed rejection attitude with exaggerated friendlessness. That does not work, because the unconscious of the other reacts more strongly to our unconscious rejection than to the conscious false friendly attitude. This mass attitude destroys the possibility of happiness and creates pain, sorrow, adversity, and precisely the rejection that we fear so much. A vicious circle of negative pleasure by resentfully hurting others and being hurt, of sadism and masochism. Resentment directed at ourselves is masochism, and in sadism this resentment is directed at the other. In this workshop you will explore with a love and curiosity 3 themes of the Pathwork Lectures regarding the duality between sadism and masochism. The first theme, what is sadism? It is important to make the connection between the feeling of being unacceptable and having sadistic impulses. Sadistic impulses express themselves by punishing and hurting others. This person is not afraid to express his negative feelings and believes that he protects himself in this way. But, of course, that is a pseudo-protection, because to the extent that we are cruel to others, we are also cruel to ourselves. The next quote stems from Pathwork Lectures 54. Sadism is a consequence of detesting one's submissiveness and resenting it. This resentment is, of course, projected onto the other person involved, although often indirectly and subconsciously. Resentment directed to the self is masochism. It is the very same resentment. In sadism, it reaches out to the other self, whereas in masochism, it turns back to one's own self. End of quote from Pathwork Lecture 54. Second theme. What is masochism? Masochism comes from compulsive submission in order to gain love or approval. It is a tendency towards self-rejection and lack of healthy self-love. Masochistic self-destruction is also the inability to deal with problems by avoiding them. All images are masochistic because they contain a negative idea with painful self-destructive results. Unlike a sadistic person, a person with masochistic traits is afraid to express his negative, hostile feelings and holds them back. He punishes others indirectly through his own misery and punishment. The next quote stems from Pathwork Lecture 99. If the sense of one's unworthiness is stronger than the corresponding healthy forces, the only pleasure derived from living is found in pain. It still do not mean physical masochism. The same may hold true on a psychic level and may never manifest physically at all. When it does manifest physically, it is in a very advanced state. Since this seems the only certain thing that one can rely on, pain through rejection, one hugs it. One does not want to give it up. Healthy pleasure seems hopelessly unattainable. In other words, masochism is a giving up. It is a resignation to the worst, which one tries to make the best of. End of quote from Pathwork Lecture 99. The third and last theme, love merges duality. True love is always spontaneous, does not ask for anything in return, and knows when to let go. Recognizing and understanding masochistic and sadistic currents allows the natural feelings of love that lie buried beneath those negative emotions to blossom, and we now and then experience true love. When we ask ourselves in every situation, what would love do? We awaken the desire for pure love. The last quote stems from Pathwork Lecture 4. The real love is free from all masochistic and sadistic tendencies. It is healthy and without egocentricity or other unhealthy personality choking currents. End of quote from Pathwork Lecture 4. I wish you peace and all the best. Thank you.